Inside Foos presents FoosTalk Live.
And it was awesome to have all of us in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
I think you were a lot taller than I remembered, and Mark was a lot shorter. Is how it comes to me.
Jim, you were a lot fatter. You were a lot fatter than I remember, and that was like just 2 weeks ago in Portland. So how you like that?
It's FoosTalk Live.
You talking to me?
Compelling and lively banter.
Are you going to talk to us?
Talking foosball.
Foosball was how I measured my value as a man. You took that away.
Players and fans, promoters and pros. Unedited and raw.
Talk.
Living in the moment.
We have a lot of important things to talk about.
All while practicing social distancing.
Cool. We'll talk. No big whoop.
Let's get this thing started. FoosTalk Live. Coming to you live from the studios of Inside Foos. It's the 64th episode of FoosTalk Live, brought to you by InsideFoos.com, offering monthly subscriptions with access to some of the most exciting matches ever recorded, plus live tournaments, pre- and post-show analysis, interviews, and original programming. Sign up now at InsideFoos.com. Also brought to you by ProtectoFlex, the world's premier safety accessory. Go to Protecto-Flex.com. Brought to you by 518 Prints, one of the best printers of promotional items, t-shirts, hoodies, and foosball apparel. Visit 518prints.com. Brought to you by Foosballers the Movie. This Joe Hessling of Foosball documentary is now available as a worldwide download at foosballersthemovie.com. Also brought to you by the United States Table Soccer Organization, the USTSO, helping to usher in a new era of competitive foosball. Become a member at usafoosball.com. And brought to you by Foosball Clubs USA, promoting foosball through school systems all over the United States. Visit foosballclubsusa.com and make a donation today. Well, hey there, I'm Tom Robinson. Welcome once again to FoosTalk Live. Back together, it seems. It's been quite some time, it seems like we got together. It's been, well, I guess like 2 weeks because, well, last week was our 4th of July break, and I certainly hope you had a great 4th of July celebration. And shall we say we recharged our batteries during that period of time and got out to see some baseball and some fireworks, but had a great time nonetheless. But it's back to business with FoosTalk Live tonight. And of course, a conversation about foosball is always better when you have someone else to talk to. And that's why I prefer to talk to the greatest play-by-play foosball announcer of all time, Jim Stevens. Hello, Jim.
Wow, that's an impressive intro. Thank you. All while practicing social distancing. How much of that are we doing anymore?
Well,
but we are, and you're in New York, and our guests are in various parts of the country. I'm here, of course, in Durango, Colorado.
yes.
Although I just got in from Austria. I just flew in from Austria today, where I was at a Garlando tournament, and boy, are my arms tired.
Hang on. And you're not jet lagged.
No, I was in Austria, so to speak, all weekend, bringing the Bruck Mur Open, the first tournament held in Europe in about 15 months. Something like 350 players in a gymnasium in the middle of Austria, and some of the best players in Europe were there, specifically Austrians and Germans for the most part.
Wow.
But we were live at Inside Foos for all day yesterday and today. And of course, I'm 8 hours earlier than Austria here. So I was up at 6:30 a.m. commentating matches. And generally, if I'm commentating matches at 6:30 a.m., it's because I've been up all night the previous night on a Sunday, right? So if I'm a little loopy tonight, folks, you'll understand it. Long weekend of commentary, a lot of fun, though. And we're going to talk more about that with the guy who really helped out a lot with us this weekend by coming on the air with us. And we'll meet him here in just a few minutes.
This is going to be his FoosTalk live debut as well. So really coming up on the planet of foosball, no question about that. So
Yeah.
So what about the 4th of July for you? What went down? Anything good?
Well, we went over to my wife's sister's house over on the Front Range in Denver, Colorado, which is about 400 miles from Durango. Spent July 4th there. We went to a baseball game on Friday night, went to Coors Field to watch the Colorado Rockies and the St. Louis Cardinals. And it was really, really strange to be in a crowd with 48,000 people.
Yeah.
Literally. And it was, there were 7 people there wearing face masks. And there was very little social distancing.
Wow.
There were some things that were a little different. It was all cash. There was it was non-cash. You could not use cash to buy anything. It was credit cards only.
Really?
But the baseball game happened. Colorado Rockies lost again. And then after the game, probably the most spectacular fireworks show I've ever seen in my life. And I've been around a few years. It was amazing. And then on both July 3rd and July 4th, we set off our own fireworks there in Castle Rock, Colorado, and had a great time. The kids, of course, loved it.
So when you say your own fireworks, are you talking about, I don't know, sparklers and stuff like that? Or what are the kids like?
Well, sort of. Anything goes pretty much in Colorado. And so it was all the various sizes of fountains and, the things you throw on the ground and spin around. And, of course, several of the neighbors there had all the old-fashioned, the fireworks and the M80s and the cherry bombs. And hand grenades and everything else.
Hand grenades.
And it was quite a spectacular show for sure, even on a local basis, although there was also a full-fledged fireworks show as well. So we really got a lot of fireworks on that weekend. Cool. We had some this weekend as well from the Garlando event over in Austria.
No, there's nothing quite like that. And of course, we missed it all last year. We all had to kind of, just sort of wait it out. And I think everybody was getting into it. Incidentally, when you say baseball, on 4th of July evening, I was invited by a friend to go to a local it was like a minor league ball game, although it's called Frontier League, but it's a small upstate baseball league. And I haven't gone to a baseball game in literally 25 years.
Wow.
But I had the blast. I had the best time. It's a nice little stadium. It was capacity crowd that night, sold out, which was so cool. A lot of kids. And of course, at the end, they had the big fireworks thing going on, but they're called the Valley Cats. And those guys, they won a doubleheader that night. So everybody was happy. Yeah.
Some good old-fashioned baseball. I'm a big baseball fan, of course, and minor league baseball is really awesome. There are lots of these great little ballparks in smaller towns across America.
Oh, yeah.
And they always put on a great show, don't they? The mascots and just you're really up close and personal with the game. And so I kind of envy it. It was one thing being around 48,000 people at a major league game, but I wouldn't mind being around 4,500 people at a minor league game as well.
Yeah, that's about what it was, too, 45 to 5,000, something like that. But, had to walk a long way just for parking. But, hey, man, it was all worth it. Definitely dug it. Yeah. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. But
that's awesome.
So now you're globetrotting with this play-by-play stuff. What's going on here? Now, Inside Foos is providing play-by-play. Get a bit more specific about that.
For the first time ever, and I think this was really a brand new thing that we unveiled this weekend. I don't think this has ever happened at all ever in the history of foosball, at least like this.
Yeah.
To where we basically can commentate and cover events all around the world. We just have to get that feed in. We just have to have somebody on the ground with a camera, or at the site with a camera, 2 cameras, 5 cameras, whatever, and the ability to stream. They send us the video signal. We then watch it here on this very little screen. And my eyes are extremely tired, believe me. And then we commentate it and send it back out over InsideFoos.com.
Oh, cool.
And if you're a subscriber, of course, you can watch it live. And then all the videos also get archived there. And so this is something we are, COVID, of course, has gotten all of us a little more accustomed to remote, whether it's learning, whether it's business, whether it's just communication in general. It really has got us accustomed to that style of doing things. Yeah. And it kind of opened up the door, maybe accelerated this kind of thing. In Major League Baseball, which we've been talking about, a lot of the commentators during COVID last season, when the no fans were allowed in the ballpark, they would sit oftentimes in their den at home with a video feed and commentate. In fact, they weren't allowed at the ballpark, so that is how it got done. Basketball as well.
Exactly.
And even now, as things have opened up, still a lot of the TV and radio networks are still using this remote style of sports coverage to, basically keep the costs down for traveling, obviously.
Sure.
But in this case, of course, bringing the feed in, thanks to the TFBO, the Tischfußballbund of Österreich, which is the table soccer organization of Austria. They set up cameras and send it to us.
You did a great job with that pronunciation, by the way. Did you have to practice that?
Tom, I've worked something like 30 tournaments in Germany and another 5 or 6 in Austria. And so I've certainly had a little experience with that. But yes, I did practice it several times this morning when I first got up.
Excellent.
But it's something new. And I felt good about it. It was a lot of work. It was a ton of work and learning how to do it. And we had our hiccups for sure, our ups and downs and internet failures and everything else. But I think this is the future, and it's something that certainly allows us to cover events literally in any country in the world without having to travel and bring all the equipment and do all that. We do need, of course, cooperation with a local crew. Now, one of the downsides, however, was that it was 101 degrees here in Durango yesterday.
Oh.
And my studio is set up out here in the garage. And we live at 7,000 feet. We rarely get days over 90 degrees here in Durango.
Right.
We don't have air conditioning.
Oh, okay.
And so sitting here for literally 12 hours on Friday, 10 more hours yesterday, 8 more hours today, in 100-degree weather in a garage on a small screen. It was challenging, but it was a lot of fun.
Jim, well. I hope you stay hydrated when you do this. This is crucial.
And I think we've talked about this before, but when you live in the mountains, when you live at elevation, when you live in the desert, which basically we do, it's the mountain desert out here, basically on the border of Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, you have to stay hydrated on a daily basis every day. It's really important to do so. It's electrolytes, Gatorade, or whatever. It's plenty of water. So I'm kind of in the habit of that. And during the course of this, literally, I think on Friday, I never left the studio for 12 straight hours. But my wife was bringing me in food, and she was bringing me in water. Wow. And Gatorade, et cetera, to kind of keep me going.
Amazing.
So,
I just think that this is the wave of the future when it comes to play-by-play for foosball. And there are rumors flying around here, even in upstate New York, that Inside Foos may be making an appearance at the next Smashdown, August 14th. Just name dropping there, but Inside Foos will be providing play-by-play for that big Saturday event, August 14th. Again, Inside Foos at the 518 Foosball Club or Smashdown. That's taking place at Trick Shots on Route 9 in Clifton Park. How's that for a plug?
I love it. Yeah. And of course, we'll be doing that remotely. We'll be doing that from the studio and we'll, as we move closer, of course, we'll have more information for everybody on exactly how they can attend, although you just gave them that information, and also how, of course, they can watch. And we're looking forward to that, getting a chance to see players like Sam DeJohn, of course, and
Kevin Walker.
Kevin Walker, of course, and a lot of those great New York players and New England players, et cetera, who will make it to the Smashdown. Yep.
It's always a good day. It's always a lot of fun, and the facility is large. There's a lot of space. There's six T3000s. So we have plenty of room, and we might even see as many as 40 or 50 players. So we're always happy with that.
That's great. That's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, the Nationals 2 weeks ago, Mary Moore IFB did such a great job with that. 370-ish players in attendance, and that was great as well. As we really are starting to accelerate to not only tournaments but also the Inside Foods coverage of it. And if you aren't a subscriber, head over to InsideFoods.com. More than, I think, close to 1,000 videos now available to watch from the last 27 years, live events, special features, original programming, et cetera.
Jim,
so
that's my plug. Force me to stay up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week just to watch all those videos. That's
what else you got to do, Tom? What else do you have to do? Come on.
True that. Well, I know what else we can do.
I'm getting thirsty, buddy. Let's drink.
Let's do that. Let's take care of our powerful thirst here. What Jim and I like to do right about this time is to reveal our favorite IPA. And I know you've been waiting to have a cold one here. So, Jim, you begin. What do you have? Jimmy, you there? Or
there I am. I lost you for a minute there, I think. And our special guest / co-host tonight's going to be on with us here in just a few minutes. So, I always try to sort of match up with when I knew Adam was going to be on tonight. I headed down to my local, Star Liquors down the street here in Durango, and I picked up something I've had before, but I really liked it. Ooh, It's out of the Firestone Walker Brewing Company up in Paso Robles, California, which is up Highway 101 from Ventura, California, where our guest tonight, Adam Gilson, where he lives. And so I'm having a Mind Haze IPA, and that's kind of where my mind is anyway. I'm a little hazy tonight after spending the weekend in Austria. But it's juicy, it's hazy, it's tropical, it's from the coast of California. It's a free-spirited beer made to elevate your perceptions. Juicy, fresh, and loaded with an imaginative array of tropical hop flavors. Here we go.
Yeah, you should be teaching class on how to sell a product like that, man. That was great. Okay, I've got this one comes from Brown's Brewing Company. This is out of North Hoosick, New York, which is a relatively small town, but this is a very nice local Nigel IPA. Nigel IPA, which is just a single IPA tonight. I'm not going for the double, but let's try the Nigel IPA. I have a feeling it's going to taste English here. Okay, here we go. Actually, you know what? That's actually really. This is the first time I've tried this. This is local. I'm going to go back for more of this.
Wow.
Nigel IPA.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
I can tell you really like it. Yeah. Is it an English style IPA?
I think so.
Yeah.
See?
Oh, excuse me.
No, absolutely. No, it's wow, and a very funky looking can too. I wish we had video tonight so I could show you that. But yeah, a Nigel IPA. And so I was just wondering, we should probably toast our honor group of the week. And our honor group of the week, Jim, by the way, is the club where you were doing the commentary all weekend long. Give us the name of that club once again.
The club, well, it was the Tischfußballbund of Österreich.
There you go.
Which is the Austrian Federation affiliated with the ITSF, who did such a great job. And actually, the name of the club, who also co-promoted this, were the Eagles Graz, out of the city of Graz in Austria.
Graz.
Spelled IGELS. That's apparently how you spell eagle in German.
Okay.
But they were also the co-promoters of this. And Wolfgang Brewer and company, who did such a great job with this event. And Wolfgang also finished, and here's something interesting. And Adam and I are going to talk about this once he comes on, because he was involved with the broadcast. But speaking of Adam, let's bring him on. And I'm guessing he might have an IPA in his right hand as well.
Adam Gilson, welcome to FoosTalk Live.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, a real honor, and I really appreciate you brought me in on a night that Mark's not here.
Yeah. That sounded like a loaded statement. So, okay, so Adam, this is your debut on FoosTalk Live, and I've been listening to you do some commentary with Jim and the guys Inside Foos. Fantastic work, man. And have you done that kind of thing before?
Nope, that was my first time at Nationals.
Really?
And it was, I've always had in the back of my head that I've wanted to do it for years and years, but I just never really, the stars were never crossed properly. And then it just worked out that I could go, and, they said, sure.
Very
Mark
cool.
Said, yeah.
Well,
Mark got in there. Yeah.
What are you drinking tonight? What's your IPA of the week?
Well, I too chose a Firestone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did. And I was going to I actually was looking at the two different choices I had. I bought one of those, sampler packs.
Sure.
And I was going to do the hazy IPA that they had, but I went with the Luponic Distortion IPA by Firestone.
I've had that.
I've had it.
Yes, that's good.
It is grassy and light and refreshing, and I really love it.
Grassy, I like that.
And it must be cold.
Although you're in California, so grassy has a whole different meaning.
Well,
okay.
It was in quotes. I did do air quotes.
You did? Okay. And if we were on video, we'd see them. No, Adam has moved into the rotation as one of our commentators, one of our broadcasters, and did an exceptional job at Nationals. So we're bringing him back. He's going to be at the Bardo with us in 3 weeks. And speaking of the Bardo, of course, one of our guests tonight is the promoter of that event, of course, Ben Kempner, who has done such a great job with that event over the last couple of years.
Right.
Under challenging circumstances. So looking forward to talking to Ben tonight. But Adam was there all weekend. And Adam, let's talk a little bit about this event this weekend. You were there with me for about 6 hours on Saturday.
Yep.
And talk a little bit about your impressions of broadcasting, not only remotely, but on a table you'd never seen, with a style of play you'd never seen, with players that you didn't know. And how did it all go for you?
I'll tell you, the first tournament I ever went to in 1998 was a Hall of Fame Classic. And I was so nervous. My first match, I didn't even know how to wrap a handle. And the other team member had to come over, the opponent had to come over and show me how to wrap it. And it was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever experienced in foosball, because I just didn't know what was going on. And that's how I felt this weekend. I really, it was overwhelming, and it was truly humbling to not know what in the heck was going on, which is fine, because I got to see the styles and everything, but to try to formulate an opinion or have thoughts on something that was basically foreign to me, while at the same time trying to take in the amazing amount of local culture and the players and all the little mini dramas that are going on. It was just almost too much.
The dramas. I love it.
Yeah. And that's not even including the fact that I was 7,000 miles away from it, and Jim, you and I were almost 1,000 miles apart. Like,
Yeah.
it felt like an old shoe when you and I were in the booth the first time. Not that you're an old shoe, but it felt comfortable, like I'd done it before, because we're there, But being apart, it makes it harder for me, anyways, to play off of what you're doing.
Well, one of the neat things, though, was that, and I knew this going in, and we actually talked about this before commentating the event, is that Adam was coming in sort of as a student, coming in to learn, right? This is your first exposure to international foosball, the first exposure for all of us to remote broadcasting. And one thing we've learned about Adam Gilson is he picks things up awfully quickly. He is a quick learn on almost everything. So it was kind of interesting as we did the commentary to hear his insights, fresh insights, coming from a foosball background, but and coming to it from a strong foosball background, as we'll talk about, but also things so new to you. But I really enjoyed having you, really enjoyed your perceptions. And all in all, it was a good time. And maybe I'll realize that there was some fun in it here in a few days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, once we get to decompress.
Oh, yeah.
Decompress.
Yeah. And this is helping. I got to tell you, this is helping.
Because you weren't just doing, a lot of people probably have to imagine this, or I hope they do. You're not just up there talking. You're doing so much. I mean, I know Mary Malley and a few other people were doing stuff behind the scenes, but you're like, I know what you're like, I don't know, the maestro up there trying to get everything together. And that's just impressive, Jim.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a lot, I'll tell you, and but it's something I've sort of become accustomed to. Hopefully, it can change someday. I want to walk into a tournament, sit down, commentate, get up, and leave. You know what I mean? And I actually have done that a few times when working for Kazum in Europe, and it's really enjoyable. But in these days, as we continue to sort of push the envelope and learn new ways of covering the sport, I understand that at this stage I need to do these things. But thank you, Adam, for recognizing that. All right, so
Adam, we would be remiss if, because this is your debut appearance on FoosTalk Live, if we didn't go back into time in history and find out exactly where did this all begin for you as far as foosball goes. When was the first time you saw a foosball table, and what was it?
The first foosball table I ever saw was a tournament soccer brown top with dynamo men on half of the rods.
Okay.
And some of the floor was missing and replaced by caulk that had been not all the way sanded down.
Really?
And that was in my backyard that I grew up playing. My first time was about 4 or 5, standing on a box playing my dad, Terry Gilson, who started with tournament soccer back in the early 70s, Northwest player. And so I grew up. I went to people's houses as a kid, and I was like, "Where's your foosball table?" Because I just assumed everybody had.
Oh, got it. Okay, so you're definitely second generation for sure.
Yeah. And he worked. My dad worked with tournament soccer. My mom did too. They did a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. My dad was a player, but he was mostly on the business end, and he was the guy that he helped develop the famous logo with the rainbow hand, and designed the balls from the mid 70s, and the merchandise and a bunch of other stuff like that. So, and he was also on the promo team with John Sneaky Jack Graham back going all through the Pacific Northwest with a foosball table in the back of a van going to colleges and bars and whatnot.
No kidding. Wow. Yeah. That is cool. So do you remember the first time that you actually went out to compete, and where was that?
Well, so I grew up, we had barbecues on weekends growing up as a kid, and there was foosball, and we'd had family come over and play and stuff like that. But I think my parents specifically, my dad specifically, never told me about tournaments.
Okay.
I didn't know that they actually had tournaments until it was the late 90s, and I was probably 17, 18. And Jack Graham, who I'd mentioned earlier, came and was living with us. And he was I think his highest finish was 3rd place, playing with Jamie Armitage in the 75 Worlds Open doubles. And after that, he went more into training and teaching a bunch of people how to play.
Mm.
And he took me under his wing, and he said, do you want to go to tournaments? And I was like, sure. And up to that point, we were just playing, goof off, as my dad would call it, warehouse foosball.
Warehouse? Love it.
Warehouse. So my first tournament I ever went to was, and Jim, I think you know this place very well. It was Long Beach, Yankee Doodles of Long Beach.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
And then the next week, that was my first tournament, and I didn't have a pass. I was shooting kind of a push shot, something or other. And the next thing, the following week was my first Hall of Fame Classic.
Well, so 1998. Yeah, I've got a quick story here, if I can, about Adam's father, Terry. 1977, Los Angeles Open on tournament soccer. My very first major tournament I ever attended. And it was a little scary. I had the fever. I had been playing for less than a year. My friends and I went to the Pacifica Hotel. I think it was called the Americana Hotel there near Culver City, California, for the $25,000 Fun in the Sun Los Angeles Open. And we walked into that ballroom and were just overwhelmed by the number of players, the number of tables, et cetera. And we had no clue what to do. Well, this big, large man came up to us and said, "Hey, can I help you guys?" And we said, "Well, it's our first tournament, and we don't know what to do." And he said, "Well, come on." He took us under his wing, took us up, got us signed up, got us registered. And throughout the rest of that weekend, he made sure that we knew what we were doing. He checked in with us. Did we have a good time, et cetera? And that man's name was Terry Gilson.
Cool.
And I never forgot him. I always remembered he made sure that we had a great time that weekend. And if we hadn't had a great time, who knows if we'd be here today, right?
Right. That's so true.
Yeah, and I never forgot him, and I saw him a time or two after that, and then of course he moved on. I think obviously everybody moved on from tournament soccer at one point, and then when I met Adam originally, and I kind of put two and two together, I realized that this was Terry's son, and I believe I told Adam that story, after he and I got to know each other a little bit, but I never forgot Terry Gilson and how instrumental he was in making sure that my friends and I had a great time at that 1977 LA Open. So, and I've talked to your dad a few times since then. He had sent me some beautiful emails. He never really heard what I did until a few years ago, and I think you exposed him to it. Yeah. And then he was kind of blown away by it, that this sort of thing existed. And he wrote me just the most beautiful emails that were so complimentary and so appreciative.
Cool.
To him. And so I just wanted to interject that as part of my foosball history and sort of bring this tie these things together. But if you do see your dad, tell him thank you from Jim Stevens again.
And just to play off of that, what you're speaking to is one of the main things that he has always made sure he tries to do in foosball. And to that point, he was inducted in the 2018 Pacific Northwest Hall of Legends. And during his speech, one of the things he said was the reason why he has done what he has done for foosball back when he was, involved, was it was for all the people out there that lost in a DYP and blamed themselves. And it really speaks to that, there's this competitiveness, but there's also trying to get people involved and feeling comfortable in a completely new situation. And that's, I think, speaks to that's what he did with you and your friends, I think.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Sure did.
The same thing.
No, Adam, I think this is what's missing in so many cases. When you go into any kind of place that has features, local professional foosball, whether they be, experts or pros, whatever the case, and other people come in to watch them play, and they get turned off pretty quickly because they realize there's no way I'm going to compete against these people. This is this is a little too serious for me.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, and that's the problem. And I've been saying this to Jim and anybody that'll listen, but at a certain point, what people are doing on a foosball table to a beginner looks like magic.
Right.
And they cannot possibly believe they're going to be able to do it.
Yep.
And I'm not saying everybody's going to be a Spreedeman or a Lafredo or what have you, but I think anybody can compete.
Yeah.
But they need that space in which to do it.
And do it in a way that's fun and addicting, like it is for so many of us. Just addicting. Right. Can't stay away.
Yep.
All right, so there you go. Adam's now a regular, and we hope to have you on FoosTalk Live in the future as well as sort of a revolving host, and that may mean weekly. We may have to replace Mark weekly as we move forward. We'll see.
You never know.
But we got some business to do here. We got a flashback. We got a guest. We got a top 5 to do here. Let's get busy.
Absolutely.
Tom.
So what do you say? Let's do a quick flashback here, and I think this relates to something we're going to talk about. With great moments in foosball history, this is a FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Passing it down 2-rod to 5-rod. Collignon can't hold on to it. Hundstorfer now in possession. Kevin setting it up towards the center of the table. Brings it to the near side. Makes off that back wall. Slices it on goal. Collignon moves both men over there to make the stop. Left-handed effort clears the zone. Collignon now with a chance to win the championship. Freddy Collignon fires it home in 7 exciting games in the Open Singles Final. Freddy Collignon has defeated Kevin Hundstorfer to win yet another world title.
Listen in next time for another great moment in foosball history. It's FoosTalk Live Flashback. And when was that exactly, Jim? When was the year that took place?
That was the 2008 Garlando World Championships in Tulln, Austria, Tuln, just outside Vienna. And Kevin Hundstorfer, the man who finished second in that, won the winner's bracket. He beat Freddy Collignon in the winner's bracket final. He was 15 years old. And he beat him in that winner's bracket final, then lost in 2 sets in the final in 7 games, as I said there. But this was the beginning. Then when we all saw it that weekend, this was the first time I'd ever seen Kevin Hundstorfer play. He has gone on since then to win, I think, 8 or 10 Garlando World Championships in doubles and singles and mixed doubles, etc. He's also won 2 multi-table World Singles Championships. This weekend, he won the mixed doubles title, also won the classic doubles title. Fell short in both singles and doubles, which was a surprise. But again, everybody kind of returning to the Pro Tour for a first time, that might have factored in. But this is one of the great players of all time, Kevin Hundstorfer. This was his debut. This was his breakthrough, 2008. Even though he finished second to Collignon, everybody finishes second to Collignon. But it's sort of tied in. I sort of selected this flashback because I still, in at least part way, still in Austria in my mind, even right now.
Austria in your mind. It's the sound of foosball, right? No matter where it is, it's still the same language. No question about it. And I love the way you pronounce Kevin. How did you say his last name again?
Hundstorfer.
Hundstorfer. That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, all weekend I've been tiptoeing around people's names. I've really tried to get it, but it's just so hard on the fly.
Yeah,
it is. And it was for me as well early on, of course. And how many names have I mispronounced? But I've always dedicated myself to making sure that I did the best I could with people's names. And oftentimes that means going up and asking them and hearing exactly how they pronounce their name and then trying to duplicate that. And so anyway, we're Americans. We're going to get nearly every name wrong anyway.
Right. Yeah, that is true. And the fact that you're there doing it, that's bravery enough. I think that you've proved your mettle, that you can even take it on. So very cool. Well, what do you say? Now, you guys, we're going to be talking about the top 5 greatest moments so far in their 2021. Is that correct?
Yeah, kind of. Let's launch it, and then I'll kind of talk more about what tonight's top 5 is really all about.
Here it comes. Time once again for the FoosTalk Live Top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here's Jim Stevens and Mark Torres. And the part of Mark Torres this evening is being played by Adam Gilson.
Yeah, good luck on that, Adam. Tonight, top 5, stories basically of 2021. Obviously, we're halfway through the year and we're only a few months into the tournament season, etc. But I thought it would be kind of neat to kind of look at what has happened so far. We went from a dead stop to almost a full sprint pretty quickly, at least here in the United States. And now, of course, things starting to happen in Europe and around the world as well. But I thought maybe we could just give my perspective, give Adam's perspective on what we think in our minds are the top 5 top stories so far.
And Adam, to give you the perspective here as to how this goes, in case you haven't heard the top 5 before, there's a quick sounder, as we call it in the business, that launches into each number. So here's the very first one for you. FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 5. Adam, you're on.
I'm sorry, it keeps cutting out, so I'm not entirely sure. I'm not hearing it.
Oh, sorry about that.
I'm not sure if that's on my end, but I'm on. So here's my number 5. Okay. I thought something that I found interesting, and this is a distant 5, but I've noticed a very tiny, slight crack in the armor of a Tony Sprademan. Just a little this year.
Oh.
I don't know.
Pray tell.
Jim, you've been watching more than I have, but I don't know what getting dipped.
Well, explain that a little further. Yeah, get a little more in depth into that. What do you mean?
Well, okay, so we all know Beachtown. He got beat by Blake for the first time in singles ever, correct? And then lost open singles, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Right, and I feel like there was a bit of a party atmosphere there, so it's not like. But what I saw happening at Texas State was, I I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I'm not saying that there wasn't the fire there with Tony. And maybe it's not a matter of fire. Maybe there's just the ascendance of the next generation of players, the Tommy Yours, the maybe the Kevin Romeros,
Yeah.
and maybe the Brandon Munozes. I guess this is what I felt. And maybe it's a bit melodramatic, but I feel like there's blood in the water and people are smelling it.
Oh,
I love that.
Gosh, I felt that. I almost smelt that.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. And I think that's a great point. That is not on my list, but certainly, Tony getting double dipped by Tommy Orr, at Texas State. And then, of course, and of course, Beach Down, Beat Down is a tournament all to itself. It's
Right.
understandable and all
Sure.
of that. Tony did come back, of course, and win the national championships. But for sure, there is something to be said. And I think it's a combination of things, maybe a little bit of a letdown by Tony, but also the ascendance of some of these great young players as well. My number 5, and I'm putting it at number 5 because I don't want to seem too self-serving, but it's the launch of the new Inside Foods, and it's everything that's going on with us at Inside Foods, including you guys. Et cetera. And I think that's, what we have come out and done with the help of so many people around the world is to kind of change the way that people look at foosball. At least that's our goal. And so I think that's, for me, we've had somewhat of an impact. I'm putting us at number 5, and I'm confident that we have had at least a top 5 influence on the direction of foosball moving forward, both in the United States and internationally. I don't want to dive too much into it, but for me, obviously, I'm right in the middle of it, so I'm feeling it. But for me, that's my number 5.
And it's more sleepless nights for Jim.
Yeah. And we all benefit from your sleepless nights, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 4.
All right. I'm going to say being together again is the most important, biggest development in foosball in the past 30, 40 years, maybe even since Lee Peppard got together and started doing tournament soccer. And I say this because I think there is so much desire right now to want to be playing that people are open to different styles, different things, different opportunities. And this might tie into what your number 5, Jim, but I also think it's going to tie into this Swiss system that we've been talking about.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that kind of ties into my number 4 as well, which is these big crowds we have been getting at tournaments, and I think what you're kind of referring to, during COVID, you either had to adapt or die, right? You had to do things in order to survive. A lot of businesses, a lot of things have gone by the wayside. Other things have evolved. And I think we're in the middle of an evolution. I think we are evolving as a sport. And I think we're seeing that both from the performances of the players, the interaction. Obviously, everybody's so happy to get it back together again, as you said. But also these young players that are coming up. And that's going to be, a further topic for me moving forward here as well. But yeah, I agree. I think it is all of us getting back together. Now, you put that at number 4, despite saying that it was the biggest thing to happen in 40 years. So I can't even imagine what your next 3 are going to be.
You gave me 5 minutes of lead time here. I don't know. I didn't put this in order. I thought it was. I just have bullet points here, just so we know for people out there listening.
In no particular order.
Can't wait to hit the next 3.
I don't even have anything at number 2. I don't.
Adam, just let me interrupt. You're already better than Mark. Okay, so.
Okay, all right. Don't make me blush. I just wanted to fill his size 4 Oshkosh bagoshes.
Did you just say size 4?
Oshkosh bagoshes. I'll rattle that cage. I don't care. He knows. Every time I ask him if he's ever been double dipped, he always says no. Because he will refuse to talk about the time that Rob Bath and I double dipped him in pro doubles at the 2005 Worlds.
Oh, pray tell. Love to hear more about that. Love that. But for another time, perhaps.
Right. Next time he's here so I can say it to his face.
Or to his ears.
I can't wait to hear number 3, Tom.
Okay. Yes, here we go. FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 3.
So I don't know how to say. I've written on my notes like 10 different ways to say this, but I don't know how to say it correctly. So I'm gonna just do the best I can is to say that the bringing together of the global community, the making smaller of the global community through live streaming of matches. We have people like I've been playing foosball for a long time. And I've never seen people play Garlando, anything like that. And the fact that I have like a $7.99 subscription, obviously I was there doing color commentary, but the fact that I have my subscription and I could go on and watch something that I would have never seen, learn from it, take information from that, maybe that might open up there being a Garlando table or anything else there, is just monumentally beautiful to me.
Yeah, yes, it really is, and that's something that we're seeing more and more of, the ability to really bring the community. And you said it best, I think, shrinking down the community to where we all kind of are one instead of all these disparate, kind of separated things. My number 3 is Pura Vida. Pura Vida is the slogan of Costa Rica. And one thing we have seen so far this year, and it's 2 players in particular, but there's a whole bunch of really good Costa Rican players. But when you're talking about Kevin Romero and Brandon Munoz, both of whom are having sensational years and have really elevated themselves into the conversation as far as top 5 players on the Tornado Tour, with Brandon Munoz and Kevin Romero both finishing in the top 2 or 3 or 4 at the Nationals in open doubles and open singles. Same thing at the Texas State Championships, 2 very high quality, deep field events. Carlos Cespedes, of course, the godfather of Costa Rican table soccer, Jorge Alfaro. So many great players out of the nation of Costa Rica who have made such an impact on the Pro Tour so far this year. And so exciting. Boy, is it. I mean, Kevin Romero is a lot of fun to watch. Lightning pull shot, great snake shot, just an electric player. But Brandon Munoz, boy, I can't take my eyes off that guy. He may be the most exciting player in the world, period. When you watch this kid play, the things he can do, the things that make you go, wow, every time he plays, specifically in singles. But he's also, of course, a great forward, great goalie as well. But a couple of electric players who really have come out on tour this year and been spectacular. So for me, number 3 is the influence and the ascendance of the Costa Rican players.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 2.
So I'm going to say here for number 2, I just came up with it.
Oh, good.
And this might sound like a cop out. I don't think it is, but the reality is that we've been kind of dancing around it with COVID, this coming back together, all these other things. But the intangibles, the unknowns that we don't know that's going to happen over the next 6 months to the end of this year, and then in 2022, whatever's on the table that that's coming up, and how people are going to react to it, I have no idea. But I feel just personally, when I go to sleep at night, it's been a long time since I've thought about foosball, but I'm like dozing off to sleep. But nowadays, I'm thinking about it again, and I just feel like there's just something, brewing out there. There's a need, a want, and it's coming.
Oh, I love that. I feel it too. I sense it too when I'm not too tired to feel or sense. But no, how can you not? And it's not just in this country; it's worldwide, and especially now that things are getting started internationally. World Cup on the horizon now, less than a year away. I mean, I was super excited about the 2006 World Cup, and then in 2009 when it returned. But looking forward to next year in Not France and what that's going to be like after everything that has happened. And I just can't wait for that event. And hopefully we'll be there to cover it. For me, I'm going to be a little more specific. It's based on my experience of covering the tour this year. But for me, it's Tommy Yore. Having a chance, and really it's only one tournament that I've had a chance to watch him. But, when we talk about the greatest players in table soccer, it's always Freddy Collignon, it's Tony Spredeman, it's Billy Pappas, it's Ryan Moore. That's really your first level, okay? Then there's a drop-off. Maybe Lafredo is right there on the cusp of that top as well. Robert Athel, though Robert hasn't had enough success on Tornado, yet he still has multiple world championships on multiple other tables. But for me, Tommy Yore plays the game, plays foosball at that level, at the highest level. He is the equal on the table, and it's still early. Of course, it's still early. He still has a lot to accomplish. But based on what I see, the eyeball test of Tommy Yore is he is playing the game like a Billy Pappas, like a Ryan Moore, like a Tony Spredeman, like a Freddy Collignon at that level. And if he continues to improve and continues to grow, and I have no reason to think that he won't, we are looking at a guy that very well could go down with that kind of history, with that kind of pedigree, with the kind of skill that he has on the table, a guy that could go down as one of the greatest players ever. And so for me, at number 2, I've got Tommy Yore being just so eye-opening at where he is right now in his abilities on a foosball table.
And 100%.
FoosTalk Live proudly presents The top 5. Number 1.
I'm loving those fireworks.
This better be
Little
good.
late.
This better be good. Number 1. Yeah.
This is so freaking good, Jim. Get your other beer open. All right. I saw this at Moneyball. I saw this at Texas State. I definitely saw it at Nationals. I saw it in the background while that cool submarine periscope camera situation was panning around in the Austrian tournament this weekend. Kids. There's kids coming. It's like the Entwives, not the Entwives. I don't know, whatever the thing is from Lord of the Rings. They're coming back. The Eagles. There's like I've been telling you this, Jim, for a long time. The future of foosball is not in bars anymore. It's not anywhere else but in these foosball clubs. I firmly believe that. It's just way easier to you got to get kids younger. And as you know, I've been teaching violin for 20-something years. I've been working with special education and also other education. And you know, the whole point is in education and teaching kids in particular is that not everybody's going to be going to Juilliard. Not everybody's going to be in the top 1%, and that's fine. We want to give them an opportunity to play, to have fun, to compete, do something, to learn something about themselves. And the fact that there's more kids at these tournaments than I've ever seen in my 20-something years of going to tournaments is heartening, to say the least.
Oh, it's so true, and it's funny. We were doing a match. I think it was yesterday, today. I don't know the difference right now.
Right.
But we were watching a match, and there was a match on table number 1, and finally a ball was scored, and I think maybe a timeout was called. And after that, in the background, we saw a coach. And what was it? 5 or 6 ducklings following behind him, all dressed in identical uniforms of some local kids club there in Austria, marching across. But we've seen it at the Nationals. We saw it at Texas State, and it ties in perfectly with my number 1, because my number 1 is simply Sullivan Rue. You know, I've been watching this sport for a long time. You know, I've seen Cindy Head at her best. I've seen Moya Thielens in her prime. And for 5 years, Moya Thielens was the best forward I've ever seen. You know, I talked about Tommy Orr being in that upper crust, that elite class of players. Well, what I'm seeing from Sullivan Rue right now, and I promise you, she's at 60% of what she's going to become. But this 60% is as good as any player I've ever seen, any lady player that I've ever seen. She is there with at the level. Now, does she know how to win like Cindy Head or Moya Thielens? Not quite yet. But the skill level, oh my goodness, this young woman's 5-row, her 3-row, her ability at goalie, her singles game, her transition game in singles, it's sick, as the kids would say. And so for me, and again, Tommy Orr, I put him at number 2 because I've only seen him once this year. I've seen Sullivan Rue several times. She's out there playing every event. She's out there winning every event. And doing it in a way that there's still some room for improvement. Yet where she is right now is on a level with the greatest players in the world. I firmly believe she is going to be the best lady player in the world. She is going to win multi-table world championships. We forget about the fact 2 years ago in Murcia, Spain in 2019, she was a member of Team USA, the gold medal winning Team USA. They won it for the first time ever with her mom on that team as well, Keisha. But she also finished 3rd in women's singles. And I believe she was 16. And, this young woman, the future is bright. I interviewed her mom, Keisha, and it's on the Inside Foos website, InsideFoos.com, an interview we did on Mother's Day with Keisha Rue. And I asked her, I said, to me, it looks like, Sully could become the best lady player in the world. And Keisha said to me in answer, she said, she's not going to quit until she is. And so this young player is absolutely, you think Brandon Munoz is eye-opening, Tommy Orr. Well, Sullivan Rue is every bit of that and maybe a little more. Phenomenal player. Watch the movie Foosballers. Watch if you can, watch the World Cup show we did on ESPN last year because they also documented her story there. But it's remarkable to see the level that she's playing at. Such a class act on and off the table, and the future extremely bright for the sport of table soccer, and especially in this case, a young Sullivan Rue. That's my number 1.
Wow. I got to say, guys, first of all, not a single moment do I disagree with you here on these top 5s. I think both of you nailed it. I think Adam might have edged you out here, Jim, just a little bit, especially in his eloquence.
I think he did too, man.
Yeah.
I think he did too. I agree.
I don't
Mark
even know
is-
why. I don't care. We can stop the show, right? That's it. We're good.
Mark is not. He has not beaten. I think he tied me one time in the last 32 shows.
Yes.
But I do believe I was bettered by Adam Gilson tonight. Congratulations, Adam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's with 5 minutes notice.
That's killing it. Now
That's
a little
scary,
research.
man. That's scary.
Talk about newcomers taking over the game here. Wow, that's great. No, I Jim, I got to say that it's such a gratifying thing to hear now that foosball's back in competition. New names coming up through the ranks. Now you mentioned of course, the Costa Ricans, and now Sullivan and Tommy York. I mean, in the past it was all Lafredo, Spraydeman, Moore. And, I don't know, Cindy Head. That was all we talked about. And Frederico, right? Those are the top 5.
No, it's so true. Yeah. And there's more coming. I mean, to look at Sam DeJean, we forgot about him because this is also a guy, to watch him play. And he beat Sully in singles in the Nationals. And really, after losing the first game, and boy, is he impressive, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that's really what it comes down to. When we distill it down to the one thing this year that may be the most impressive, that is, like Adam said, it's the kids.
Yeah.
It's the young players.
Yep. It's the future for sure. And it's really great to see. And I know that Tony Spraydeman would agree with us all day long. He said many times, hey man, I'd like to have some new players in there. Like, want to kind of liven the game up for myself. I got to defend my title. I'd like to have some new names for sure.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, we went a little long here, but we've got Ben Kempner waiting for us, guys.
We do.
And we get a chance to talk about one of the great events in the world coming up here in 3 weeks. And being held at a hotel for the first time after being at Buffalo Billiards down on 6th Street in Austin, in Austin, Texas. And, I've been a part of this event now for 11 years, and it's such a proud part of my resume to know that I'm part of an event that is more than just a competitive event, and it is that, but also what it means. And so let's bring him on, Tom.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, all the way from Austin, Texas, Ben Kempner. Ben Kempner is in charge of the Bardo Hearn, which is really a terrific, unique event. Ben, are you still with? Are you with us there? Are you able to log in there? Hello, Ben.
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. And welcome to FoosTalk Live.
All right. Well, real pleasure to be here. I love the show. So glad to see something like this really, establishing such a great momentum. I feel like it's been missing in the sport for a long time. So,
well, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's great to meet you in Texas. We got a chance to chat with you and Sissy about the Bardo a little bit off, shall we say, off stage. But I got a chance to chat with you and meet you for the first time. And I got to say, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you and getting to know you a bit. So for our FoosTalk Live audience, of course, it's a tradition here that we find out a bit about your past. So when it comes to foosball itself, when was the first time you played this game, and how old were you, and what kind of table was it?
Geez, it's funny because I hardly knew anything about foosball. I hardly touched any table. I don't even know what the first table was.
Okay.
Even in college, at a bar, never played. Funny enough, but what started it all was about, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. I was they got a foosball table at work. I was working at this teeny startup in San Francisco. Yeah. And it was just the most horrible table that you can imagine. It was like a sports craft or something like that. It was like shiny plastic surface and a little soccer ball with it was terrible. Don't buy one. But yeah, that's where I started playing. We were we just use it as kind of an outlet for entertainment. And we ended up, as the company became larger, more successful, we bought more tables. Eventually we had multiple T3000s in there.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
We all got really good.
Was it like lunch break action, or what was going on?
Well, it's funny you ask because it was an open floor plan. So there was no game rooms or anything like that. So
one of those places.
Yeah. So it's a pretty loud and disturbing game if you're trying to work. So what they would do is every day for twice a day, they would take a 30-minute foos break, and everyone in the company would stop and play foosball.
Cool. I want to work there. How do I get a gig there?
It was a great company. I really enjoyed it.
Now, you say that was San Francisco. Is that where you're from originally?
I'm from Utah originally, Salt Lake
Utah.
City.
Okay.
But
Wow.
yeah, that's where I started playing, and then eventually made my way out here to Austin.
Fantastic. And how long have you lived in Austin?
6 years now.
Okay. And how exactly did you get hooked up with the Bart O'Hearn promotions job? I mean, you've been doing this now for a couple of years, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have been doing promotion ever since I started playing, funny enough.
Okay.
It's just like even going back to the San Francisco days, the way that I found out about tournament style foosball is actually organized a 64 team startup tournament for a bunch of startups in the Bay Area called Foosbrawl.
Wow.
And we had some big names participate: Spotify, Trulia, Salesforce, a bunch of others. It was really fun.
No
And
doubt.
yeah, it was great. It was a great time. It was a big party, and everyone had a lot of fun. And but in the course of that, I stumbled across a local DYP, um, and in a little trashy dive bar in North Beach called Kennedy's. And that was my introduction to tournament foosball. And within a year, I was running that DYP. A couple years later, I moved out to Austin, and I took over a defunct Saturday night DYP. And at that point, it was just me and Joe Kuntz were the only promoters in the area.
Huh.
And so, yeah, so we worked together a lot, talked a lot, became friends, played, teamed up, played in the Bardo together a few times. And, that's kind of how we met and got started. And, I don't know what made him think that, I was the right person to take over his life's work, but
Yeah.
I'm doing my best.
Let's talk a little bit about Joe Kuntz, of course, back in the year 2000, started a tournament down in Austin, a small tournament at the time, to honor his best friend, Bart O'Hearn. And I recall when this event started, we kind of heard about it. There was a flyer that went out. It was small, held down on 6th Street there in Austin. And over the years, it began to grow and get a little bigger. And some big names, people from outside of South Texas started to attend. And in 2010, I went to my first Bardo and met Joe. And got to know Joe very well. And of course, Joe, the man behind the Bart O'Hearn in so many ways. And the O'Hearn family was very involved with this. Sponsors were involved with this. Buffalo Billiards, a 150-year-old former brothel down on 6th Street. And if you've never been to 6th Street in Austin, it's sort of a combination of Mardi Gras meets Venice Beach meets West Hollywood, right? And so, and of course, if you've ever walked out of a tournament at Buffalo Billiards at 2 a.m, you know what I'm talking about. They shut 6th Street down, and it is wild. But Joe loved foosball. He loved his friend Bart. And over the years, as this began to grow, and as he brought in Inside Foos starting in 2010, and as this became a national event, it became a bit much for Joe. Joe did most of the promotion. He did most of the work, but he needed help with it. And so he brought in people like Charles McIntosh and David Raddick and Brittany Sersosimo, now Brittany Wicks, and Paul Rankin, who also was the tournament director for a year. And then eventually he landed on Ben Kempner. And I remember when it was announced that Ben was going to become the promoter of this event, I went, yes, that's great news, because I kind of knew Ben a little bit. I knew how organized he was, how much he cared about foosball. And you mentioned it, Ben, how he trusted you to carry on his life's work. And it really was his life's work. Joe unfortunately passed away. I believe it was early. Was it early in 2020, late in 2019? And so obviously this year at this year's event, which takes place here in 3 weeks, Joe is going to be a primary focus of this event, which means so much to so many. And if you don't know what the Bart O'Hearn celebration is about, obviously it's a great competition. You get so many great players there competing. But on Saturday night at the Bart O'Hearn celebration is the Fallen Foozer ceremony. And I get chills even thinking about it. I've had the honor of hosting it along with Joe for the past 6 or 8 years. And it is so meaningful, where we remember, we honor the players who have passed away all over the world now over the last 12 months. And in this case, it's going to be over the last 2 years. And it is so much more than just a foosball tournament, guys. And I know, Ben, it has become not your life's work, but certainly a very important thing. And I know this is a very long question, but I wanted to provide a little bit of background as we move forward. But, you mentioned that you've taken over Joe's life work. would you say that it's pretty much as meaningful now to you as it was to Joe, especially with the passing of the great Joe Kuntz here in the last year and a half?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's been a totally humbling experience. Um, especially here, there's just like so much going on with a change of venue, 20th anniversary. I mean, celebrating Joe himself. I mean, it's it's incredible. It's almost hard to believe that I am responsible for so much here. It feels like at times. Um, but yeah, it really is. It's an amazing experience.
So, give us an idea, Ben, when it comes to the things that attract people to the Bardo. Aside from the fact that we remember the fallen Foosers, what else is unique about this tournament?
Yeah, well, I think Jim, I think you really nailed it. And I'm glad that you did go into such detail because, honestly, Jim probably knows, more about this. It's funny as me as a promoter, but Jim probably knows a lot more. He's been involved longer than I have. Um, but yeah, it's got that, it's a vibe, a unique vibe that's, half party, half tournament, totally a celebration. Sixth Street has this kind of mini Mardi Gras type atmosphere going on, and that really just kind of permeates through the whole tournament. I mean, it's gonna be in a hotel this year, but but we'll be a 10-minute cab ride away from Sixth Street, so you can still go down there if you'd like to. And we've got a lot of fun things at the hotel that they're working with us to really try and kind of bring that atmosphere over there and everything. And so it should be a great time.
Yeah. So, just to clarify, this is the first year at the hotel.
That's correct. Mhm.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, what kind of attendance are you planning on for?
Well, we'll see. I'm not sure what the you never know what the turnout is going to be like at a tournament. They vary so much, but usually we've had 200 plus players, fairly consistently over the years. So
Nice.
and we've got it's a big tournament. It's a main tour stop. It's got we've got 25 tables. We'll have 10,000 in prizes. We've got events rookie through open. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on, so it'll be great.
Hey Ben, this is Adam Gilson here. Good to talk to you.
Hey, you too.
I'm going to be going to this tournament for the first time at the end of the month. Part of that's personal, working with the Inside Foos, but also my buddy Jack Graham passed away last year, so he was going to be one of the fallen Foosers they honor. But I was wondering, for a new for a new person, a new attendee there, what would you tell them? Like, what would you tell them to expect? Like, just the feeling. Like, I can already tell because I've never been to one, but I can already tell there's going to be a different energy level, a different feeling here. Like, could you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about kind of the celebration side of things, and so I would say as far as the ceremony goes, yeah, that is a hard thing to articulate, honestly. I know the first time I didn't know what to expect the first time, I went to one, and the range of emotions you feel is you know there's just a lot of them. So I feel it's just something you kind of have to experience
Mm.
to understand.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's obviously really resonated, with so many players, so many, as it's grown over the year, people have these same feelings, and word gets around, and people want to experience. And I think definitely if you're going around, you're hitting the tour stops, you got to try and make time to come down to the Bardo, at least once, and experience it for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing that's really neat about it is that we get an opportunity to celebrate the lives of these players, remember them, and also oftentimes, there are family members there. It helps them to process this, to get through what can be a tough time, and to kind of remember how important foosball was to these fallen footers, these individuals that we are honoring. One of the things that I notice, and and this is a little bit personal, I suppose, but I know a lot of foosball players, right? I feel like I know 10,000 players from around the world. So every time that this list comes out of the fallen foosers, I look at it and I go, I know probably, or I knew probably 75% of these people. And I say to myself, I know too many people, because it is, and again, it helps me process this. And, and I look at this list, and sometimes I'm surprised. I looked yesterday and I saw a name on there and I went, oh, I didn't know that. And this was somebody I knew quite well. Because we can't always keep up with it. But what's neat about this, and it kind of evolved from Joe honoring his best friend to Joe recognizing all the players. And at first it was here in the United States. And then as the foosball community kind of opened up and became international, Joe began to focus there as well. Lars Christiansen, a great Danish player, will be honored. He was honored last year in the remote ceremony that we did here in the studio. But, it is something that helps us, all of us, I think, and all of us know so many people. All of us are part of this very large family. And it helps all of us to sort of process this, and also to remember the good times with these people, and remember how important foosball was for them and how good foosball was for them. So certainly we appreciate this event each and every year. And as Ben said, everyone should try to make it. Ben, can you tell us the name of the hotel that it's being held at? I know it's right off I-35 there. But just if any of you do want to make some last minute plans, although 3 weeks, still plenty of time to come on down and watch it in person. If you can't, of course, you can watch it at InsideFoos.com all weekend. But give us a little more information about where the event's being held.
Yeah, sure. It's at the Radisson. Like you said, off I-35, and get all the information on the flyer. I posted it to the foosball board and to the Bardo Facebook page. You just search in Facebook for Bardo, you should be able to find it. The info's in there. There's one confusing thing that's unfortunate, that the hotel is actually just transferring ownership from a Crown Plaza to a Radisson. So like, maps might show Crown Plaza, and you might still have differences there and things like that. But it is a Radisson now. It has also caused a few issues with some of the reservation systems. So please, if you have any issues with the hotel at all, just contact me. My info's on the flyer. I can work anything out with that. But yeah.
Ben, I got to say that this is a tradition that just continues. As far as you're concerned, in this, it's hard to predict the future. But how do you see yourself with this tournament? Let's say over the next 10 years, you going to still be around?
I hope to. I'm gonna do everything to keep it going. These big tournaments are a real challenge. So I guess you never know what the future holds.
Let's share with us one of your favorite years. What would that be so far? What's your favorite year as a promoter so far?
I mean, so far it'd have to be the 2019, which was my first one, I guess. Just because that I always appreciate it. Don't get me wrong, I always appreciate it. But when you really go through all that stuff, then you really, really appreciate it. Just all the offers for help, from every corner. I contacted so many other promoters asking for advice to help make sure that everything, went smoothly, and everyone was so welcoming and helpful. And and I knew people, in the ceremony, and just working closely with Joe, and all those things combined just made it an incredible event, an incredible experience for me. So.
And will you be playing?
I played a couple of events last time, and it was hard to enjoy it. Just because so much is going. I may try and do some singles just so I can pull myself out if it becomes a little bit more. But that's the tough part about working events. I find it hard to play.
Right. Understood. Yeah, a lot to think, a lot on your shoulders for one weekend, no doubt about it. Totally get that. But wouldn't it be fun to be in the middle of a match where Jim Stevens is doing the play-by-play?
Oh yeah, I've been on a few Inside Foos videos, and it's always awesome. He actually videotaped me winning a title at Bardo, I think 2017.
Yeah,
so.
Really?
Sure did. Yeah, Ben's a heck of a player. He really is.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate he doesn't get a chance to play more, but it's understandable. I know how these things go as well. So, Adam, you got anything for Ben? Okay, apparently not. But the other thing about it is, and we talk about the ceremony, but the competition's also really good. I remember a tournament a few years ago, I think it was 2013, where Tony Sprademan wins the winners bracket and wins the first two games of the final. It actually comes from a loser's bracket, beats Rob Maras the first set, wins the first two games of the second set, and then Maras just catches fire and scores like 12 out of 13 from his 3-rod and comes back and wins. And I remember, one of the other great events here is called Bard O Wars. It's goalie wars, but banks count 2. And because of that, I think players are really a little more motivated. We've watched Ryan Moore compete in this event and just be amazing. Todd Lafredo really wants this title when he plays goalie war, and he's, of course, amazing. David Vick in his prime would come down there and compete in the Bard O Wars event, which is something that I think has been going on now for 6, 8, maybe 10 years, maybe longer. But it makes it's a very special event and part of what is really a very special tournament. And Ben, again, when you took over, I was very pleased to hear it. I knew you would take it seriously. I knew it would thrive under your direction and guidance. And we knew, of course, at that time that Joe was ill. We hoped that he would get through it. And of course, he passed away last year. And if you haven't had a chance, folks, to see the ceremony from last year, we did it remotely here in the studio, honoring the fallen Foosers from last year. And you can see that at Inside Foos TV. I also just posted the flyer for the event at both the Inside Foos page and Inside Foos TV on Facebook as well. So from me, as someone who is so involved with foosball and who is someone who thinks of this event as being so very special to both to me and to, of course, the foosball world, I just personally want to thank you, Ben, for taking the reins from Joe moving forward, and always know that you've got me in your corner, and you've always got me doing what I can to make this event as great as I possibly can as well.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Jim. You have done so much for the sport, and especially Bardo. I mean, Bardo it wouldn't be the same without you. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So Ben, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us on FoosTalk Live. This is great to get you on air to talk about this great event coming up, and that's the last weekend of July, first weekend of August, technically, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to a great turnout. Anything else you'd like to tell us about this fantastic event?
No, I was just, I was thinking as Jim, you were going through the competition and everything. Do you remember the Open Doubles finals in 2019? It was Todd and Tony and Blake and Brandon.
Oh yeah.
And oh my God, that was such a good match.
What a great match. Yeah.
Front row seat, 2 sets, both into overtime. The last game was 7-8, and even Blake had it on the 3-bar. And sorry Blake, if you're listening, if this brings up painful memories, but you had it on the 3-bar, and you went long, and it was open. It looked open to me, and it just nicked it off the corner, and you would have had it. And but then, ended up on Tony's 3, of course, and that was that. But
yeah, if you got a shot to beat Tony and Todd, you better score it, right? What a great match that was! In the very last match, almost that we did at Buffalo Billiards, as we have now moved on from there. Hard to believe it's been a couple of years since we were last there, and can't wait to get down there here in 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
Well, Ben, let's see if we can get a report or two from the site of the tournament on FoosTalk Live.
I would love it.
Cool. We'll check in with you and Jim and the guys and see how things are going. And Adam is going to be there too. So I think that the whole gang. And Mark, will he be there?
It's still up in the air. It's not out of the question. We hope not, but it's possible.
I mean, I just want Mark to know that I didn't roast you one time, in spite of all the encouragement.
You could have, man. You could have. I know.
So come on, come down. Be there. Make the trip.
Ben, you're excellent at exercising restraint. We appreciate that for sure.
Wasn't easy.
Thank you, Ben.
Ben,
thank you.
Hey, best of luck with the tournament, man. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So Ben Kempner of Austin, Texas, of course, with the Bardo Hearn coming up in 3 weeks. And be listening here at FoosTalk Live for details, and we'll be giving you some updates as to how things are going that weekend on the same Sunday of the Bardo Hearn. So, Jim, Adam, this is great. This is another live tournament where everybody's going to be there.
Yep.
Yeah, and even Adam, and I'm looking forward to working with Adam. Of course, we had a great time working at the Nationals. Adam did probably, 70 or 80% of the matches as an analyst, and then this weekend as well. And I think we're growing as a team. I'm really enjoying working with him here tonight as well. And great job tonight, by the way, Adam.
Yeah,
and so looking forward to sitting in with Adam at the Bardo here in 3 weeks down in Austin, which is Austin, Texas. And no offense to any other parts of Texas, but Austin is the best city in Texas.
It is. It is.
I'm co-signed.
And I would recommend if you get a chance to check out Voodoo Donuts while you're there in Austin. It's
cool. the barbecue. The barbecue down there.
The barbecue, yes.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm there for barbecue. I'm trying to get my dad to come because we during the pandemic, our pandemic hobby was to start learning how to smoke and barbecue. And I'm just like
learning how to smoke what again?
Smoke.
Yeah.
Barbecue.
And smoke while barbecuing.
Yeah, I said weed earlier, but that really was. I'm not your average SoCaler.
Yeah.
I felt a little outnumbered tonight because all three of you guys, Ben and Adam and Jim, are all from the West Coast here. I'm a little outnumbered, but
a little bit. But we still think fondly of those of you from New York, at least if you don't live in the city, which you don't. You're upstate.
True.
So
yeah. It's a big difference and everybody thinks that New York City represents the rest of the state. No.
It's
not
really
exactly.
funny. Everybody thinks that when I look at other, even me, I look at pictures of like other parts of New York. I'm like, no.
It's beautiful. No, New York State, Western
right.
New York, upstate New York, absolutely beautiful. The Adirondacks, Hudson Valley, just gorgeous up there. So Tom, we definitely have a bit of a West Coast bias, but we still appreciate you up there as well.
At least you're nice about it.
The one neat thing, and something that FoosTalk Live helps here, and it was kind of touched on, and Ben touched on it when he first came on. It's that we're generating some momentum, aren't we? We kind of can feel it with these tournaments that we've attended here in the States, and even with this remote broadcast we did this weekend with our weekly FoosTalk Live shows where we're talking to the biggest names and talking about what's coming up and talking about the news stories. We are developing momentum moving forward, growth, evolution, the word I used earlier. And again, I totally sense it, not only after a long weekend of work in Austria, but also tonight with FoosTalk Live and the upcoming tournaments. We've got Tornado Championships coming up. We've got more European stuff coming up. We're going to be doing, obviously, the remote broadcast from New York. We also have a remote broadcast from Manchester, England coming up in August. Switzerland is on the schedule as well. So lots coming up in foosball. And again, a lot of that due to the fact that the World Cup in July next year, everybody's got to qualify. We've got to have all these tournaments in order to qualify players, and we don't have as much time as usual. So there's going to be a tournament almost every weekend somewhere in the world, a major tournament somewhere in the world, almost every weekend coming up for the next year as we move towards that World Cup, which I think is part of kind of what I touched on earlier about how exciting it is to think about the World Cup next year in Nantes, France. Again, the hometown of Farid Lounis, where most of the World Cups have taken place, where we get 2,000 players coming in to watch it, and looking forward to that for sure. And I think we might have a special guest coming in.
Jim, I just got to tell you, that whole Nantes tournament that's coming up and everything, that has been the proverbial carrot on the stick, if you would.
Yeah.
Carrot on a stick.
As you told me.
I love it.
Mark, Jim made me say that Oshkosh Bagosh joke about your shoes.
What?
Mark said, you didn't hear that? Oh,
no.
Never mind.
Missed it.
Okay.
Never mind.
That was Jim.
I was wearing Vans. Come on,
whatever.
man.
Yeah, but
all right.
Okay.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's version of FoosTalk Live.
You got to tell me the joke now. What is the joke?
Just listen back, Mark. Joke. No, we're not going to repeat it for all the listeners. No need to.
You know what? Start from the beginning. Start from the very beginning of the show. Damn it! Start over.
Are you having an IPA, Mark?
No, I wish. I'm having a piece of cake and a large, tall glass of milk because I'm a nerd.
Whose birthday is it? Cake and milk.
So if you want to hear the story in brief, our house was part of a garden tour, but that was Saturday. Yeah, so there's like, I don't know, half dozen, 8 houses or so, and so on Sunday, all the gardeneers go to each other's houses, and they all came here, a bunch of gardeneers in our backyard, and they brought cake. So I'm eating the damn cake. You know what? I'm eating the cake.
You're benefiting.
Gardener.
By
the word,
gardener.
That is
gardener.
I just made that work. I made that word up right now.
You did.
I don't think it exists.
I love that. Hey, my wife just texted me and asked if we were wrapping it up, and I'd love to tell her. I'd love to tell her yes.
Tell her, dude. I mean, cake, dude. What's up?
Hold on a second.
Let him eat cake. Let him eat cake. No, as seriously though. What a great conversation tonight with Ben Kempner of the Bart O'Hearn celebration. Adam Gilson coming on tonight for both as a guest and a co-host and doing a great job. And again, Mark, the one thing that we kind of were finalizing with before you came on in your disruptive fashion, but we're used to that, is the momentum we're generating, both through the events here, through FoosTalk Live every Sunday, through this remote broadcast we did from Austria this weekend. Looking forward to the Bart O'Hearn coming back, and what a big part of the fabric of foosball that is. But I'd love in closing, as we shut things down for a Sunday night here shortly, talk about your sense of this momentum that we're feeling in the world of foosball due to several different factors.
You're leaving out a big one that I'm super excited about. Inside Foos just partnered with Kicks. Kicks, if you don't know, is the bar in Hamburg where they have, I don't know, Jim, was it?
Yeah, Rico was a guest here a few weeks ago. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, remember we had Rico on. Yeah.
So that announcement was just made, and we're going to be live stream. So Kicks, I've never been there. I've only heard the mythology and the stories from the people that have been there, and it's supposed to be foosball central. They have a Wednesday draw your partner that has hundreds and hundreds of people. It's incredible, right? So we're partnering with them to live stream their tournaments and live stream their weekly stuff, and it's incredible that we talk about momentum.
Yeah,
I like to say that we're a small. We're small in number, but globally we're massive. Like comparatively to other sports. But when we all come together and do something, foosball comes together as a community. And Inside Foos is the hub and the wheel of that. I believe that. So we're pulling. We had Austria, we have Germany, we have France, we have all these countries coming together to show foosball entertainment around the world, and you can feel it. So absolutely, you guys, I'm super excited about everything that's happening.
I got to pass along a message from Reese Roberts, our number one fan in the UK. He wanted to pass this along to you guys who are going to be doing the play-by-play remotely in Europe. He said, if you want to have a really hard time commentating, then try an Italian A1 Volo tournament. Very difficult to understand what they're doing and identifying their skills.
No, I love that. And I've actually watched it play before, and I'd love to do it. Basically, the ball never stops, and you can only touch it once on per rod. So wherever it is on that rod, you have to basically angle it or shoot it towards the goal. And I remember one time, and again, I know we're short on time here, but I walked into it. I was at the World Championships in St. Vincent, Italy, and I walked across town to where they had a no volo tournament. And I walked in, and all the tables were lined up nice and straight, 20 tables as they prepared for the tournament. I came in a few hours later, and those tables were all over the place. They were somewhere in the corner, somewhere upside down, sideways, because of the way that they play the game. And it's super entertaining. I'd love to commentate it. I love high-speed foosball.
That's exactly when I said earlier that I grew up playing warehouse style foosball. That's the style that I grew up playing. That Marcio Bonilla and that South American style play. I love that. That's all me. I love it.
Well, right. Adam, at least you aren't dodging bullets like Mark.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you guys are sissies. I had to hide behind Miss Pac-Man and Galaga while people were throwing stuff across. And then when they left, we went back to playing foosball. It'd be a gang war. It'd break out, and then we'd leave, and then we'd come out from between video games and look for our quarters and stuff. Hey, we're still playing.
Yeah, that sounds like a different kind of podcast you should be a part of.
Yeah, for sure.
Not warehouse foosball, like whorehouse foosball. More like weird. Okay. It's a weird diversion. Doesn't make any sense.
Man.
Is that Jim? Is that point where you feel like it's time to end the podcast?
We're out of here, guys.
We can call it.
Hang on.
Cue the close, Tom. Cue the close.
Well, we do have one little bit. There is something very significant we need to take care of this evening. In fact, we actually are so incredibly grateful because Inside Foos has had a Kickstarter campaign going. And we have had an immense response to the Kickstarter campaign. Lots of people have helped us, donated to Inside Foos, and it's made I don't know, it's humbling to see how many people are willing to help out.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. And we want to recognize those folks who have taken the time to do that. So we've prepared, shall we say, a show close this evening that features a lot of the names of the people who have actually taken the time to help out with Inside Foods. Jim, would you like to embellish on that at all?
No, it's just, Mark developed this Kickstarter, and to see the response was literally overwhelming. What a great feeling it certainly left me with. And I'm so appreciative to everyone out there who supports the vision of Inside Foods and the vision of the future of foosball through the eyes of Inside Foods. And so I personally, from the bottom of my heart, just want to thank everybody who helped us out through that Kickstarter. Thanks, guys.
And I'll just say, hey, it was part of our commitment back to those who pledged to recognize them in multiple areas. One of them is this radio show, and every single dollar counts. We are not a solvent company. Mm-hmm. We are working hard as a startup to build to a place where we're self-sustaining. We're funded, but we're not solvent. So every dollar that was pledged matters, and we are using that money to buy equipment and to travel and to get to foosball tournaments. So literally every single dollar counted. And we after taxes, mind you, after taxes, we got like 40% of it. So love you guys. Thank you, Tom. I know you prepared something great, and I appreciate all the work you did.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for chipping in tonight, and looking forward to working with you in the future as well, buddy. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Adam Gilson from Ventura, California.
Yeah, from the highway.
From
like
the highway.
Right off the street.
Tom is a huge America fan.
He said he's been to other concerts. Good quality.
Jim has a tendency to exaggerate, by the way, but that's okay, Jim. That's fine. I totally get that. But I've
told you a million times I don't exaggerate, Tom. Come on.
Good band. Okay.
Good band.
Good night, everybody.
Wait, didn't they do The Last Unicorn?
Last
lion roar.
Quick, go to the feet, go to the cliff.
Good night,
quick.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
All right, come on, go. Play the thank you shout out.
All right, good night, guys.
Good night.
The team at Inside Foods will always be grateful to our fans, subscribers, and especially those who pledged whatever they could to the Inside Foods Kickstarter campaign. Your pledge is used to replace and add to aging equipment, innovate the presentation of tournaments, upgrade our software platforms, support typical day-to-day expenses, and deliver a high-quality product back to our community, the way Inside Foods has done it for 28 years. It's time now for InsideFoods.com and FoosTalk Live to give a shout-out to our generous donors. It's time now for InsideFoods.com and FoosTalk Live to give a shout-out to our generous donors. We begin with those who pledged $15 or more to Inside Foods. Thank you to Jimmy Love, Timothy P. Marks, Bruce Ulam, Walter Nanny, Joe Fleck, Judy Temple Scober, Richard Smith, Will Hawks, Randy Raposo, Tanya, Nancy Pappas, Louis Waterman, RME 2021, Tommy Atkinson, Rich Cotter, Brent Yates, Anthony Toko, Tristan, Mike Bade, Carly Coulter, Christina Quether, Soil Worker, Samantha Tan, David Bagwell, Gianni at rocketmail.com, Kathy Nethery, Jeff Scarchilli, Dan Schurmeyer, and David Oates. Next, we tip our collective hats to those who pledged $50 or more. Here are the bronze-level contributors to the Inside Foods Kickstarter campaign. Thanks to Linda Lee, Lisa Torres Green, Javier Castro, Aaron Croft, Campbell McDonald, Tim Wiedemann, H.S. Garn, Dave Wongro, Ian Troy, Stephanie Justice, Gemma Mio, Luke, Ben Ellis, Will Stranks, Michael Rains, Jason Wicks, Ryan Williams, Daniel Bennett, Deliza, and Lisa Tolan. With 99 contributors to the Inside Foods Kickstarter campaign, we are overwhelmed with gratitude. Keep listening as we continue to bring our supporters into the spotlight through InsideFoods.com and FoosTalk Live. FoosTalk Live is a product of Inside Foos, all rights reserved. Brought to you in part by InsideFoos.com, 518 Prince, Foosballers the Movie, Foosball Clubs USA, and the USTSO. Tune in again next week for another episode of FoosTalk Live. In the meantime,
we'll see you foozin'.